What's good, guys? It's Young Tracy here, and today I'm going to be telling you guys about the Washington football team, my opinion on it, the name change, everything like that, what I think their name will be in the 2021-2022 season. And yeah, I'm basically going to be going over that. So let's start there. Do I think that this is just going to be a one-year thing like Dan Snyder and the Washington organization said? So I think that they are going to just use this as a like middle tier type name, like not a middle tier, like basically a crossway towards a new name. And I don't believe that. I actually think that the Washington football team will be the new name past the 2020 season. I think that I feel like it suits Dan Snyder and his ownership style. He really likes the tradition. That was his whole reason why he didn't want to change the name. He was like, oh, the tradition. Well, Washington football team is pretty traditional. It still brings up, they're still their same colorway, and it's not like it's wiping out their old team's name. And it also has like established whenever they were established, so it has like that point of history. He likes it to be really historic for some reason. So yeah, that's why I believe the name will stay. Do I think the name should stay? Absolutely not. The name sucks. I'm gonna be honest, guys. Washington football team is so boring and bland. Like, I can hire literally anybody else in this world to think of a better option. I think I saw something though that said a lot of the names that were thrown out there, like Warriors, Red Wolves, stuff like that, was already trademarked by some lawyer, and I think that lawyer did it already just because they knew that Washington would have to change their name in the future, so maybe that lawyer was just trying to get a head start. There's actually some really good, interesting stories about it, where the lawyer knew that he can make money off selling that trademark to Washington, because he knew that eventually they would have to change their name. Is that messed up, kind of? A little bit, but you have to think about it. Dan Snyder had forever to change the name. People have been always talking about that name and how, like, just racist it is, really. And Dan Snyder just stood there and said, I will never change this name. This name means too much to me and the organization. And for a while he got away with it. But now, Dan Snyder just got prove that he, even after all this time of people telling him to change his name, he had no options. He didn't have a backup plan. Like I've said in my previous videos, I've been listening to a lot of like ESPN, Fox Sports, and on Undisputed, which is one of the shows on Fox Sports, they're talking about how, you know, by this point you should know that like you should have backup plans in place. Every business has a backup plan, pretty much. But no, Washington and Dan Snyder is the only one that was like, no, we're gonna stick with this. We are not gonna even look at other options. And there's just been a lot of corruption in the Washington front office over the past months. There's been a lot of like exposure that they're beginning. And honestly, they're in a hot seat. And this is what they came out to. I'm sorry, but I would hate to be a Washington fan at this moment. If you're a Washington fan, comment below what you think of all this that's going on, because I'm sorry you have to deal with this. I'm looking at this from a Titans fan point of view. We have solid ownership. Sure, our owner is kind of cheap, but she represents the team well, and we have a good front office, just a solid around team, and I feel bad for Ron Rivera as well. Ron Rivera is too good of a coach to be dealt this type of situation. I just wish he went to a team like the Carolina. I don't know why I said Carolina Panthers. Obviously not the Carolina Panthers. I just wish he went to a team that was a little bit more stable, like the New York Giants, instead of Joe Judge. Like, I just feel like Ron Rivera didn't deserve to be dealt this card, honestly. I think the Cowboys should have picked him up. I think Ron Rivera is more capable of leading a team like that to a Super Bowl instead of Mike McCarthy, but that's just me. So Washington, you get a steal as far as a coach, but we already know that he's just going to be let down by his organization, the front office. They're not going to give him the pieces in place. And they actually got a steal in the draft. Terry McLaurin, like, as you guys can see, I'm playing his highlights right now. Terry McLaurin is a great wide receiver. I put him up as the second wide receiver in the 2019 draft class behind A.J. Brown, obviously, for the Titans. Terry McLaurin is incredible. They have some good pieces around. I'm not completely sold on Dwayne Haskins, but I'm not ready to consider him a bust. I think he could be a capable starter in the league. They have a great defense as well, just getting Chase Young and also, what other Alabama guys that they have up there. Great defensive line, good corner group. They still have Josh Norman. I know he's kind of underperformed the past couple of years, but he's still pretty good. They have a lot of pieces in place, but I don't know if the players are going to be happy to play for this team. If we know all this stuff that's come out about, like their corruption and like harassment in their front office, like what do the players know? I feel like the players have to deal with a lot more. I feel like they understand the mismanagement of their organization, especially veterans that have been around the league. I just don't understand how they would play there, and that's probably why Washington doesn't get that many free agents either. If you guys have looked back historically, they haven't had any great acquisitions. But I also want to talk about this, guys. I'm going to segue into this conversation. So recently, Alex Smith was also cleared for Washington. And I wanted to play, but at the same time, I know it's very risky. So that puts Washington in a very uncomfortable position in a way. Do they stick with their young guy, Dwayne Haskins, and let Alex Smith just take the back seat as a backup? Or do they just push him back into that starting role? Because if you guys remember, I believe it's 2 years ago that he was starting for Washington, and they did pretty well. I think they started off pretty hot, like 3-1, something like that. Alex Smith is a great quarterback. I don't want to... Okay, I'm not going to say great. He's a better than good quarterback. I'd put him up in a like Matt Ryan range when he was in his prime. Alex Smith had like a MVP year there for a while. Remember, before Patrick Mahomes was at the Chiefs, there was Alex